Hey guys, it's Clint as always. I'm trying out different times to stream and got off work a little bit early today. And so I thought, why not? We'll give it a shot. There is a lot of stuff to talk about. Um, and I don't know. Yeah, I want to get things warmed up here a little bit. But something that I thought was cool was here, let me share my screen. We'll get started off by doing some screen sharing already. There we go. All right. First, I wanted to show you. I have a new page. It's inked, and Nacho is going to be doing the colors as well. And I love this page a lot. And it reminds me of one of the big reasons that I picked Nacho to be the artist for this book, and why we work well together, is that he does a really good job with storytelling, even just with expression. And so this is just one example. So I'm really excited to get the colors on there and the letters. We actually are almost ready. I almost have everything that I need to go live on Indiegogo. A lot of that is just decision making, though, which it's one of my least favorite parts about doing a crowdfunding campaign. It can be, I don't know, for me it's stressful. Some people act like it's nothing, they just do it, but there's just all these little decisions you have to make. And for me, it's I don't know, it's stressful. I need to learn to be a little bit more laid back about it, I think. So those are my thoughts. I'm gonna stop sharing a minute. And hello, welcome everyone. We've got Church Bell, Uriah Wright. Hello, Tarsik. For the last 24 hours, I haven't been getting any notifications for you. Yeah, so that's the second part why I'm streaming right now, is I kind of wanted to test that out a little bit because it's weird. My videos have been hit or miss lately. It seems like I'm tired of talking about Captain Marvel, unless there's some substantial update that I'd like to talk about. But for the most part, I don't know, it's just getting old. So I don't know. Anytime I try to veer off onto a different topic, though, like my video today, and then I did a video earlier this week, it just did terrible. So I don't know. I do feel like I'm missing notifications for sure. And we've got Scott in the house. This is one of the big reasons I wanted to stream. I thought this is a good opportunity, so it worked out for him. How are you doing, Scott?
Pretty good. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. Your book is coming along. I heard you are extending. Well, you told me, but I've also heard around you're extending for 15 days, right?
That's right.
So,
yeah, because I started at 45 days, and Indiegogo gives you a limit of 60 days. And I thought, I tried the 45 days, see how well it goes, because I didn't want to stretch it on for too long. But since I only got to, I think it was 1,800, I decided to jump up and to go ahead and throw on 15 more days. But that's not going to that's not going to slow down the production of anything, and the getting everything out to the backers that have already backed it.
Yeah.
Because I'd still have to wait like a month for the books to get made anyway and shipped to me to ship out. So
cool.
But just figure, why not, see if I can get a little more.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on. And I do see somebody else I've been wanting to have on is another Scott. He's in the chat. He says, "What's up, brother?" Scott, I can't remember if I sent the link out to a few different places, couple different places. Scott, if you don't have the link, or if you want the link, let me know. I'll send it to you on Twitter anyway, just in case. So I'm just checking the chat here really quick. Notifications. Oh, Warzard asks, Clint, are you doing your comic the Marvel way? Not exactly. I actually wrote in full script, and I don't know what the way I'm calling it. I'm full script, but I'm not super strict about it, because Nacho has been changing some of the things that he wants, but full script's really helpful for me because I get a better idea of how the pacing needs to be written.
I do kind of a mix too, and it works really well. Well, plus too, like, I think that's just me personally. I think you should leave a little room, I guess, breathing room for the artist to, kind of play and add their own style a little bit in there too, and not just feel like they're being, controlled by you the whole time.
Yeah. And that's well, here I'll go back here just a minute. I'm going to share my screen
because
again.
you get
I
some really interesting stuff too when you let the artists just kind of
yeah.
come up with their own ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And from like a visual standpoint, that's why I've loosened back my full script. The way I do
Mhm.
it is I do plan out panels. Like I'll say,
Yeah.
there's 4 panels, 5 panels on this page, because for pacing reasons. But yeah, I'll be open to changing. I think initially when I wrote this particular page, it was supposed to be 5 pages. And so he changed it, or excuse me, 5 panels. He changed it a little bit and moved a panel, I think, from the page before to the page before. And this is how it turned out. And I was like, wow, that looks a lot cooler than I was thinking. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that flexibility
Yeah,
is
that's a really good
awesome.
example. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
well, your artist, like, how has he been doing? I guess a lot of books, or
Yeah.
like how?
He he's on a published book. I'm trying to remember the name. It's Manta. It's like an ongoing series,
Oh wow.
and it's so he's not the only artist on it. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm gonna stop sharing here for a minute, but I'm gonna pull up some of his stuff because I've been getting a lot more questions about him.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he's from Argentina, and so comics, I didn't realize they're a pretty big deal in Argentina.
Yeah, yeah. I just recently found that out too. I got
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
crazy.
people from Argentina too when they applied for artists as Kayak or on Kayak Flux,
Oh,
um,
cool.
and that's actually when I found out too that there were so many out there. I was going to say as well that his idea where he was like he decided to move a panel over.
Yeah.
I found that that comes from like my artist. He's done quite not a whole lot, but he's done some other books and enough to where he's got a pretty good eye and for how a story, the pacing of getting the story down, getting the right amount of panels and the positions and whatnot.
Right.
That he did that too a few times for me, where I had it in mind. Well, okay, this is how I want it. And this was but you can kind of move things around if you want. And then he did something similar to what yours did, and it turned out to be in my mind a lot better than what I was thinking. And I was just that
Yeah.
kind of idea that you get these guys a little bit of experience that or just they might even just have an eye for it, and
Yeah. Well,
show you new things.
and that's the sign of a good artist, I think, when they can
Exactly.
be
Yeah,
really
that's a good way of putting
good
it.
storytellers, and
Hmm.
it's almost like a cinematographer, I guess. And yeah, I don't want to forget though. I just mentioned, or I just noticed that Scott, the other Scott, is in the house. How's
The
it
two
going, Scott?
Scots.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that can you hear
Right.
us? He's working on Door Kickers. I know that's the book he's doing.
Hey, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, okay. I just dealing with setup.
Right.
You're
What's
good.
up,
You're
Scott?
good.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Not
We're,
much. Having fun.
yeah, we're looking at some books, and yeah, a couple news items I put in there. Rotten Tomatoes. I wanted to look at that again. The Captain Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
kind of big day.
Cyberfrog too. Did you guys hear Ethan's news about that?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Uh,
So I was at work listening to it, and I just saw on my phone that he had a live stream going on, and I jumped and listened, and I thought it was awesome. Putting out the collection and the
yeah.
masterpiece.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good deal.
I know he's always he doesn't sound super proud of the original Cyberfrog books, but I want to read them because I
Yeah.
never knew they existed.
Hmm.
you know, so yeah,
Yeah, I think
no,
he'd made it like before he got into doing Oregon for DC and the big guys. And so he kind of left it off and then he came back
yeah,
like last year or whatever it was when he started making it again. He decided he really wanted to go back and finish that story. So I think that's pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I had never been heard of. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know who Ethan was. I mean, I was a
Mm,
big comics fan, but I was never a DC guy.
yeah.
And I started buying out in the mid '90s because life was starting to happen for me in college and shit like that. So it was just
Yeah,
I didn't know who he was. So I'm looking into buying some of his Green Lantern collections and stuff like that too.
yeah. That's I think I have one. I want to say I have one book that he's worked on. It was like a I don't even remember what it was. I've got to go look through some stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't a
Just digging.
huge. It wasn't. I didn't. I mean, I heard his name, but I didn't know much about him until I got into Comicsgate. But yeah, that's awesome. Seeing All Caps Comics go from a comic artist on YouTube to becoming. It sounds like this is going to be pretty big. He's going to have distribution everywhere.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a pretty
I have
big
to check
deal.
out his video. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, really cool stuff. There wasn't a lot of information. I actually heard about it on Doug to Naples stream. I know that Ethan streamed today, and I'm sure he talked more about it. But yeah, those are the big things. And then Cyberfrog, he said, is going to be 88 pages long. Cyberfrog Blood Honey. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I still need to get that. I didn't have a chance to get it. So
yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there too.
Yeah. So Scott, for Door Kickers, do you have an artist selected currently? I know you had worked with an artist. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, so just to give a little background, I feel like the more I get to talk about it, the more I'll kind of go into it. But just to kind of Door Kickers existed with another company back around 2015. It was a 10-page story and an anthology book that was put out. Then there was also essentially a mini series that was going to happen right after that, and then a one shot. And those were all under production at the same time. But then that company went tits up. And so there's scripts and there's, some art out there that's never been published. And then there's the 10-pager that was the 10-pager was drawn by a guy named Douglas Franchin. He's a Brazilian guy. He's a super cool dude. But he's busy this year. I was just talking to him the other day, and he was saying, yeah, I got all this work with a toy company here in Brazil. So he's not going to be doing the art for the main story. The main story will be about a 48-page story drawn by a guy named Ian Waranto, and he's from Indonesia. And he's done some work for Alterna, and he also worked for the same company. That's where I became aware of him. He's got a kind of cartoony style, but he is able to kind of dial in the realness when you need it.
Cool.
So I think that'll, it really reminds me, when he draws military stuff, it really kind of reminds me of Michael Golden. I don't know if you guys remember the old G.I. Joe, Michael Golden, or the Nam, cartoony faces with fairly realistic, gear.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So he's my current artist.
Nice. That's another thing. So I had this idea for a while. Maybe we'll jump into it a little bit because all three of us are writers working with artists, or it's like you're driving the project. You've got to pick an artist right for the project, that kind of thing. It might be kind of fun to just go and look at random online portfolios and give our points of view on evaluating those artists, if you'd want to work with them or not. I'd hate to throw anyone under the bus, but I was just thinking we could just jump onto DeviantArt or something. That could be kind of fun.
No, I've spent a lot of time looking around on DeviantArt.
Yeah. Let me before we kind of get into the next thing here, I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to show everyone, because we have Scott Payne here, and he's working on this book called Chaotic Flux. And this is a book that when I first saw it, I was like, what? Like, how have I not seen this before? Because it looks really great. I've said this before, not the story, but just the robot here, I guess, and some of the gear reminds me of Beast Wars Transformers. And I love Beast Wars Transformers. So I don't know, for me, it was like, oh, this looks really cool. So just recently, I mean, you've been really getting some traction, it looks like, on your campaign.
Yeah. Big part of it is because you guys have me on these shows, but which I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's been picking up, pretty decent here recently. I'm real happy about that. I'm hoping that you hit 2,000 or more before it ends. Definitely, if I could go over that, that'd be great too.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm trying to be more realistic and just trying to get what I get before.
Did I hear, as I was coming on, that you had extended it?
Yes, by 15 days. Right now, I think we're on day 13. So it was a couple days ago when I extended.
So 13
And
days left. And this is an important thing because a lot of people don't know this, but it's a flexible goal. So that means for some people, they're hesitant to back something if they think it's not going to reach the goal. Here, it doesn't matter. Whether you hit 2,000 or 6,000 or 10,000, anybody that backs the book is still going to get their reward.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guarantee it.
Tell me a little bit about the story.
Okay. Well, it's about a team, a kind of diverse, super kind of fighting team in the style of, let's say, X-Men or the Avengers. And it takes place in this dark future where mankind is kind of they've run out a lot of resources to the point where they're starting to just kind of turn on one another. The weather's become really out of control and chaotic. There's even a region. You guys ever heard of Tornado Alley that runs up and down
Oh yeah.
the middle of the United States? It's become a kind of cataclysm now, where there's constant tornadoes and horrible storms going on there, where it's really hard to survive in that region. So America has become divided along that, where there's now two fortresses on both sides of the country. And the reason why they're fortresses with that, they're about a couple 100 feet tall walls around all of the fortresses, or both fortresses. And it's to keep out other countries or other outsiders that are trying to get in and steal resources. That's become that scarce as far as food and water and safe places to be. And they create these life forms through gene splicing. They splice several creatures together, or life forms together, to create a new life form that can withstand the harsh elements as well as reproduce at a rapid rate and be pretty easily controlled to become a new food source. And they start to evolve on their own, though, and mutate and become out of control and become very strong and fast and intelligent and unpredictable, and also spreading very rapidly as they were intended to do in the first place, but not on this level, to where then they start to spread all over the world and devour anything in their path, as they have this insatiable hunger. They're constantly wanting to eat and feed, and they'll eat just about anything that's biological. So the team comes together to form this kind of alliance to stop the dread. They're called dread fiends. I forgot to mention that. The creatures are, well, they become known as dread fiends in the storyline, and the team devotes themselves to rid the world of these creatures so that there can be some kind of peace again. There's also a dark entity called Malakar, and he is the embodiment of the hatred of all of mankind since the beginning of man. He exists on another plane of reality, and he cannot interact with our world. So there's a young sorcerer in the story named Gabriel, who's practices in black magic in secret, even though he's forbidden by his father to do so. They're actually a family of sorcerers that are the last of sorcerers in this world. There used to be a lot more of them, and they're protectors of man, but they're the last family that is still around that actually can perform magic abilities. And he actually, when he's studying this black magic, he unlocks a portal to Malakar. Malakar then embodies him and takes over him and uses him as a vessel to interact with our world, and grows at an exponential rate in power and becomes a new threat for the team.
Cool. Yeah. So the link to Chaotic Flux is in the description. If you're interested in checking, at the very least, just go check it out. It looks really cool. And yeah, certainly.
I tried to make this comic as badass as I freaking could. So
yeah,
I think I think we did a pretty good job, and I hope a lot of people feel the same way. But yeah, really worked hard on this book to be just really stand out and be something, pretty awesome.
Yeah. We've got, just sort of catching the chat up here. Comic Book Bob is asking about Black and White Cyber Frog. Just to fill everyone in, because it is in the title of this live stream. Ethan Van Sciver put out an update for Cyber Frog. A couple of things that are going to happen. The original Cyber Frog books from the 90s are going to be reprinted in a master edition. And so they're taking the color out my understanding was that it was going to be recolored differently, but I could be wrong. It could just be black and white. So yeah, I'm not so sure there. And then he is going to be getting Cyberfrog Blood Honey printed, and he said that there was going to be it's coming out in several different forms, but there's going to be one that's just black and white, and you're actually going to see the blue lines, which is cool. That's always interesting to me.
Yeah,
So that
I think he said that the balloons, the word balloons, are going to be in there too, so that you could read the comic that way.
Yeah,
that's really become a really popular thing. Huh? These black and white books. I've seen more and more recently. I've seen Marvel do a few of them.
Yeah,
the black and white editions.
They're cool. There's something like color is fun. I like color generally to read, like it's nice, but the more, I don't know, I guess in my perspective, the more you read comics, the more you have a respect for just the art itself. So seeing just the lines inked, there's something
you get different details, with the black and white. More details in some ways.
The problem is, I think a lot of times is, it is a commercial art form, but it's still an art form. And especially the penciler, so much gets lost now, especially with modern colors. I mean, the old days when you had those real flat colors, you could really see the pencils and you could really appreciate it. But, nowadays with the modern, it's like you don't know where the colorist is doing things and where the pencil, that's kind of annoying to me. I mean, I'm sure when I do door kickers, I'm sure I'll have some place. I'll be like, yeah, colorists, go crazy, but still, it's a tool. It's anything that takes away from the original, black and white art. I think sometimes is the purist in me doesn't like that.
Yeah, well, and at the least, there's something to be said for the options. So I guarantee there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna get it in color, black and white, every way they can. But yeah, having the option is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Just like another edition, kind of like how they do different versions of movies. You get like the special edition and so forth.
Yeah. Well, the irony is guys like us will only get the special edition. We won't be able to get the original edition.
Right. True. You got to get on eBay. I guess someone's going to make a killing
definitely.
off of selling things on eBay again. We're just going to look at the chat here. Brian Shearer is in the house. Hey, Brian. We've got Time Code Mechanics. He says, sounds good. I plan to get one. Gold Gauntlet Comics says, especially EVS work. I think he's talking about the black and white, especially EVS work. He's a good artist. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. Have either of you seen Captain Marvel yet?
No, I haven't. I'm a big Marvel movie fan too, and at one point I was excited about this movie, but now I'm getting to where I might see it the third week if I see it at all.
Yeah,
and it hurts me anyway on that level where I love the MCU, but it just really stinks that this movie is turned out to be what it is, and
yeah,
I don't know, it just feels like I've been betrayed.
Yeah, and I have not seen it yet. I don't plan. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've been enjoying most of the films. I mean, even like the worst film on the list for me has been still like I've liked it. It was good.
Yeah.
This one I'm not too excited about. I'm going to share my screen here again. I'm doing like lots of switching here, but that's okay. So Rotten Tomatoes. This is always interesting to look at because 80% for the critic reviews.
Yeah, it was 81 like an hour ago too.
Yeah, it was 81. It was 82, I guess, yesterday.
Yeah,
it has been dropping then. And then there's a 34 for audience score. That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, the big news today is they deleted 55,000 reviews.
And about that too.
Deleted all those reviews, and it's still at 34%.
Oh,
right.
Man.
Yeah, that's not good. But you see these discrepancies so often now. Even like I think of Alita Battle Angel. I still have not seen that movie yet either. But it's the opposite. All the critics thought it was bad.
Like Venom too. A lot of critics didn't like Venom, but it was actually a really high audience score.
Yeah,
I think it was even like in the 80s.
Back in the day, right before the shill media became like a thing, you always had comedies, right? What comedies would always get panned, but people would go see it because it's a lot of fun. And then, action movies would be kind of in the middle, and then you'd have your Oscar kind of stuff at the high end, right? And, commercial movies didn't get reviewed well, but they made money because they're commercial, but now you've got this, weird dichotomy, like I guess the Alita folks didn't pay the dues at the shill office because they only got what, a 60%, which is probably the natural rating. I hate to say it, but that's probably the natural rating for something like that, because I mean that movie's not made for critics.
Right. It's not an artsy fartsy film. Yeah, there's definitely, I don't know. It's like you can't trust. You have to take it with a grain of salt. There have been times when the audience score, like there have been movies that it seems like everyone hated the movie except for me. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen sometimes. But more often than not, it's the critical review from the critics that I just don't agree with.
Can you drill down into that audience score to kind of see what because they do the 1 through 5 rating for it?
Yeah, let me take a look.
I think you have to go back and go more info.
Oh, did I click on the wrong thing? Let's see.
You see the more info tab underneath it.
More info. There we go. So this is the critic review.
No, can you click on that?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you could.
It gives you more stuff for the critic review. For the audience score, there's not.
Yeah, I remember there being more before too. Maybe they limited it to for now.
They might have,
because all the weird things they've been doing lately.
I think what we're seeing, if you could look at the spread on those, on the audience score, I think you would see a large number of 5 out of 5s, and I think you'd see a large number of 1 out of 1s. And if you erase those, then you would probably get the real audience score. And it would probably be something like a 2.5 at best. And that's probably the real score it should get.
So I'm looking at all audience reviews. It'll show us this much. Hold on, there's of course ads popping up everywhere. But this isn't really giving us a spread.
Yeah, there's no like histogram or something that shows like where the scores are landing.
Yeah, there's this. Unless I'm just a total boomer, but there wasn't any. There weren't any links to click on. I'm sure like chat's yelling.
I may be confusing Rotten Tomatoes with Metacritic, but I mean this is a great example. You see a score on there, but you can't drill into it. You can't find out, well, what are the metrics on this? How many 5s? How many 4s? How many 3s? You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no transparency to it.
Well,
just on the
just
surface.
just like buying something off Amazon, I like to look and see what the spread is, because
exactly.
To me, like the mid-range reviews are ones that I don't know. I read those more anything between 4-star and 3-star. 1 stars, a lot of times they'll just be complaining about shipping or something else like that. And then the 5-star reviews, you never know. Sometimes they're just whoever owns the product. They'll just put in mass reviews, or I don't know. So yeah, this is interesting. It seems like they've limited it, though. I haven't really used Rotten Tomatoes a lot. Oh, I can click on liked it. Let me just see. No, it's still going to take us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, let's face it. Rotten Tomatoes is totally corrupt and bankrupt. I mean, we're going to talk about this for the next year because it'll be fun to make fun of Rotten Tomatoes every time they get it wrong, because they're just going to get it wrong.
Yeah. Isidol, I always say this wrong, Dwaddling, said, I can't wait for Jeremy from the Quartering to start exclusivity films. I've heard about that. So it's going to be a website kind of like Rotten Tomatoes for reviewing films, is my understanding. I guess like a competitor. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but
I'm not a big fan of the name, though.
I know. Exclusively films.
Exclusively films. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure where that came from. uh, Coffee's Hunter says you make a good point. All Marvel superhero films are highly overrated, even the best of them, because you're right. They're trying to force people to accept them as Citizen Kane or Vertigo level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, like I've liked superhero movies, like the Marvel ones, I like them. I gotta say though, most of them, me and my wife have this thing, we'll call it a one-time see. Like, oh, I enjoyed it
Mm.
like once, but I'll never watch it again probably. And there are probably, there's several Marvel movies that are at that level for me. Some of them though I really enjoyed. Like I remember just Iron Man 1. When that first came out, I had
Right.
no expectations and I loved it.
Oh yeah. I couldn't believe what I was watching when I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. They've knocked it out of the park with quite a few, and I'm
Yeah.
excited about the Spider-Man movie. I can't remember the name of it now. The next one that's coming
Yeah.
out, Far From Home.
Far from home. Yeah.
Yeah, that it looks
Yeah,
interesting.
like the spy element to it. I think that's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm still not hooked into that one. I didn't see anything I didn't like in the trailer, but something hasn't hooked me yet. So I'm sure that as they get closer,
Yeah.
yeah. Time Traveler Registered Trademark says, is Cyberfrog ever coming out, or is it thanks for the money, suckers? Now watch my latest video. Yeah, I don't speak for Ethan whatsoever. All I'm reporting on is what he said, but like what he said
Right.
was that he's got an editor now, and he's looking at mid-March. That's a deadline. Or not
Yeah.
mid-March, excuse me, mid-April.
Yeah, so he said that after talking to his team that he had to have the book done by the beginning of April. Meaning like, all the, I guess ready for print or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like, May is when he probably plans to, start, printing or something. So that's hopeful.
Pre-print stuff to do, lettering and all that kind of stuff.
It's good he's starting to nail things down.
And then he also said as soon as he finishes that's when they're going to go straight into Rainbow Brute, and they're going to do the I guess the black and white version, the masterpiece version, simultaneously on Indiegogo.
Yeah, and so Trash Fire's reminding us that people are asking about Cyberfrog due to this title of the stream. Yeah, we've been mentioning it periodically. I think as people come in, they don't realize we've been streaming for a little while and we've talked about it. But I will point out, also Trash Fire earlier said he was complaining about Cyberfrog being late. Now listen, I think that it's a totally legitimate criticism to be critical of Comicsgate books, any books, when they're late. They're like, that's, that comes with the territory. So I don't know. I'm certainly not going to defend a late book. I will say it's 88 pages though, so that's pretty awesome. It's over. You got to, he's doing something to compensate for it. But this is just my opinion, and I'm definitely not an insider. So, for what it's worth.
Come on, Clint. You're new Comicsgate. You're one of the up and comers.
Man, I haven't been in one of his streams for quite a while, which is, it's fine, but yeah. I don't know. Somebody told me in my stream, I think it was like last week, Sweetcast, you suck on Ethan's stream. he likes watching my streams, but that's not me on Ethan's streams.
That's because you're so nice. You're like, I don't know if it's you or George is the nicest guy in Comicsgate now. You guys are like,
yeah. George is a really nice guy. Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the chat now. Yeah, Clint has the answers. Well, I don't know. I'll give you some answer, but don't hold me to it, I guess.
No, the man with the answers is Tug.
Yeah, he knows everything. If you want to know about history, Comicsgate history, or any of the anything from any point in time, he knows it. He's got all the data.
The stuff that he and Flash just dig up, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's intense. I will say, from having a YouTube channel, it's been nice, and I'm sure Tug gets this too, but there are a few people on Twitter that all they do is research, and they'll like send me DMs with just screenshots and things like that of research. So that's been really nice. And I know some of those guys help out Tug too. Tug does a lot more work though than I do with digging into some of these issues. But yeah, it's been really, really helpful to get help from people like that. So thank you everybody that does that. That's awesome.
You know, Clint, if I could just throw out a piece of constructive criticism towards your channel, you know, one of the things you hit a lot of different issues, and I think that's good. But I really want you to dig in sometimes, because I like your analysis on a lot of the various things. And I know, especially when you're covering issues that maybe like Tug or Flash is doing, I know you don't want to like take what they're doing and then report it, because then it looks like you're, you know, the thing I think that you offer and that you could do more of is, you know, like let's say Tug does a video and it's a topic you really like. I think you could take that video and then really, you know, cite it in your video and then give your analysis, you know, add that extra layer, that because you've got your own view, and I think it's great. And then you could, you know, push that into something else that you're interested in. And you're pretty disciplined with a 10-minute video. Sometimes I want a 15-minute video from you, brother.
Man, I've done, you know, 20-minute videos sometimes. I don't know, lately it's been like I still like making the videos. Part of it's just being in contact with people. I'm noticing that's been fun. But man, I've had my head down getting ready for this Indiegogo. So I'll admit I haven't been
kind of the same way right now.
Yeah, it's like I haven't been
probably feels like you have two jobs, huh? Two or three jobs at the same time.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's exactly like it's exactly like that. So yeah, no, but that's definitely fair. I think there's a lot to sort of flesh out in a lot of these kind of just news that comes up. And that's interesting, because you'd think, well, aren't you going to run out of stuff to talk about? Like my wife's asked me about that before. Like, no, not really. There's always something going on. And, you know, adding a different perspective to it seems hard, but once you get into it, there's, I don't know, there's endless material.
Well, speaking of endless material, I'm looking at the chat, you know, so two of my favorites right now are Time Traveler and Trash Fire, and they've given us plenty of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Lots of stuff to talk about. Trash Fire, yeah, he's got he or she, I always misgender whomever, so you know, I'm just gonna assume.
I'm a guy. Unless I know, they're a guy too.
Right, yeah. You know, statistically, like I'll look at the channel stats. Statistically, most everyone is a guy, but you will have a few women in here, and you know, that's cool too. You're totally welcome. But yeah, I'll just guess guy, because chances are I'll be right. Though I are wrong sometimes. The Artful Snacker is saying, and I've got to tell people I don't have a super chat. So if you just say Sweetcast or @Sweetcast, I'm going to treat it like a super chat. As long as I see it. So the Artful Snacker says it's true. Sweetcast does good video breakdowns. Thank you. That's nice. Gold Gauntlet Comics says Sweetcast just keep the drama at a minimum, and I'll come back every time. I try not to do drama. I mean, at least not inner comics drama. I don't know. We'll see. You'll have to let me know specifics, I guess. So I did have some people asking about Nacho. I hope this is okay with you guys. This is my artist, Nacho. I wanted to look at some of his stuff and get, I don't know, talk about it a little bit. But he's not on Twitter. So people are like, how do I follow him? I posted a new page today. Just briefly, I'll go back there again. This is the page he did. It's just the inks. He's working on colors for it right now. And I dig it. I like this page quite a bit. Even when I saw it at the layouts, I was like, that's going to be cool. I just like the action of this dude flying through the window. So yeah, people have been asking me about Nacho, and he's on Tumblr, and that's just where he's actively posting stuff. So yeah, there's stuff here. I know everyone's like, Tumblr, whoa. It's not a place I go, but he sends me a link, and I'll just look at his art, and yeah, I like it. So from a storytelling perspective, and I'd like each of you to kind of do this as well, if you don't mind, but when I look through his portfolio, something I'm looking for is the most important thing, especially because I'm not just looking for someone to do a pinup or a cover. even though like this like the V here, V for Vendetta, that's pretty cool for a cover or whatever, a pinup. But I'm most importantly looking for storytelling. So as a writer, if I want to be able to tell a good story, you need artists that can visually tell a good story. So those are that's the first thing I look at, and that's the most important thing to me. I would pick an artist like that's a cool looking Mustang right there. But if all you're getting is a Mustang, it doesn't tell you much. You got to see sequential art. That's at least, my point of view and how I look at it. So curious, I'll throw this to both of you, both Scotts. When you're reviewing portfolios, what are you looking for in an artist?
Take it first, Scott.
Pretty much what you had just said. Getting if they have a good sense of pacing, moving the story. But I'm a big action guy too, so they definitely have to be able to pull off good action. Expressions too. I'm big on expressions if they can do good facial expressions, and sense of movement. I really like that when comics really pull off the idea that you can tell that that there is a punch, where it came from, where it's going, how hard the punch even hits the guy sometimes, or girl, or whatever's going on. Also, I like a little bit of visual flair that it goes a little bit more than just you're drawing a guy or a girl or whatever. That there's a little bit of a stylization to it.
Yeah, that's for me, and style is subjective, I think, but for me it's important that it's nice that they have a style or like something that you could identify, like, oh, they have maybe some of these influences. But if I'm looking from page to page, or I'm looking at their book versus somebody else's, it looks like they have a style, they have their own style. That's, I think, kind of important. So
yeah, so I mean, for me, style is less important than the idea of catching the intent of the scene and kind of figuring out what the right focal point is. So so it's less style for me and more design. If looking back up at his page, actually, why don't you lock on his page so we can keep looking at it? Nobody wants to see my mug.
Yeah, I gotta lock myself. Oh yeah, I gotta click on myself first. And no, was I already sharing screen? There we go. Share screen, locked on myself. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, so go back up to the top. I saw more examples of it up there. Yeah, this is good. So like, you got these cowboys here in the middle, right? Or let's see, whatever. Yeah, they're walking up to that church.
My up or down here? Well, sorry. Right here on the left.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, so he's using those different points of view. So you're getting them straight on in the eye in the bottom, and then in the middle, you're seeing that kind of that worm's eye view. So it really adds to the vertical nature of the church.
Definitely.
So one of the things that so I like that when I'm looking for it. So okay, I like this guy. Let me reach out to him. All right, I'm writing a script for him. One of the things I always kind of put in a little opening paragraph at the beginning of every script is, if you see a passage where you think you have a better idea of how to describe what's going on, feel free to do that, because the last thing I want to do as a writer, I mean, I have a degree in art. That's where I came from. So I think when I write a script, I've got an idea of what I think the thing looks like in my head, and I try to write to that. But these guys have strong voices too, and I think it's important that we as writers allow them to, take ownership of the visuals.
Yeah, and even I love that a lot. I have ideas for, like, man, if I was an artist, I'll play around with it sometimes, but not seriously. But for somebody that has a sense of design just on a page, like a single, I'm just looking at this one here now, I guess right in the center. This is the book he works on, Manta. He's like he's like a superhero. It's a superhero book, but it's like underwater, I think.
Hmm.
He lives at an aquarium or something. I want to learn Spanish or see if I can find a translation for it. But even just one image can tell a story. And so it's not every image needs to be like, oh, that's just so cool, so bad. What I want to see is what is it telling me, and some of that's in the colors. If that's a whole other issue there too, is picking a colorist that's right for the project. But yeah, I think you're totally, both of you guys are obviously experienced with this.
Yeah, I mean, I like your artist. I mean, he's got some talent.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Good
I'm
detail,
pretty
good
excited about
angles. Yeah, good sense of action.
it.
Yeah, you did a good job, man. Finding him.
Let me ask you this, Clint. I mean,
Sure.
so is there anything with your book? I mean, so your book has got, and I actually, Scott, I'd like you to address this too.
Huh?
Both of you guys have some look, a look to your book. So, like, yeah, with Scott's book, you've got these mech, right? Like, how important, like, how much of the mech design did you have in your head before you went into it, or did you do just kind of general description and he came up with some kick-ass stuff, or how did that work?
Well, so I try my best to visualize stuff like that, or really the whole book, but particularly the mechs and like the exosuit in my head as well as I can. But it's hard to sometimes visualize the whole thing and look, in a very standout, interesting way for me. So how I've approached it with getting my artists to design a character in that on that level, I will look on the internet, particularly on Pinterest, and find elements of. I'll give them like 4 or 5 pieces of art of pieces of art or characters that are on there that are kind of that same style, and I'll say, okay, well, I like the head on this robot, I like the arms here, and so on and so forth, and then I'll give them some extra details that what I would like to add in there, and then he kind of puts it all together and then pulls it out and presents it to where it's pretty close to all of that, but even still more so because he puts his own spin on it as well. And so far he's done an excellent job on what I've been wanting. So it's kind of hard to describe, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it looks good too, and he's doing monsters too, which is a whole other different thing.
Mm-hmm.
King Crow says, Sweetcast, I am an aspiring comic artist, and I think it is very important to give your artist the chance to take ownership of his work on a project. Nobody wants to be a pencil jockey. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And in fact, like I've worked with artists, I don't know, you get a range of artists and there's a range of writers too. And so having the right creative team of people that work together well is important. But like I'll say with Downcast, I drew one character design for the one of the main characters. And like I was like, here's an idea. And he's like, he liked it. I had drawn it like years before, but he liked it. Okay, so he incorporated it. So that makes me feel good. But I'm also like, I don't know. I thought he liked it good, but he designed the whole city. He pulled in some influences. It looks different than what I would have imagined, but it also I think looks better than what I was imagining.
I know exactly what you mean.
So yeah, that was really cool.
Head.
Yeah, I love giving them, I want artists to be able to feel like they have ownership over the project, and be able to enjoy it, I guess, and take it off.
I feel too, you never know what you're gonna get if until you let them just kind of, because they could really, like in that situation, really surprise you, and you never would have gotten that awesome design if you didn't give them the leeway, the chance there to to push their creativity in that way.
Yeah, I think too with us with these being creator-owned books where we have, we own our own schedule, especially since we're going through, Indiegogo. I mean, we have the ability to say, listen, dude, this is a great page. I really like this. If but I can tell you were a little hurried here. Go back and take some more time on it.
Right.
I mean, because Ethan is always saying this. He's saying he wants to get it right. He loves what he's doing and he wants to get it right. And so he could spend, a lot of time. You remember, he did that one cityscape and he said, yeah, it took me all day to do this, like one panel.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was like, that's what I want when I hire an artist. And if he tells me, listen, I'm taking too long on these pages, then I will say, well, I'll pay you more money.
Well, it's also for me, like a big thing has been communication. I had, for people that aren't aware, I actually hired a different artist first for Downcast, never released his name because I wanted to make sure everything was going to work first before I made it public. I had to let him go because of communication. Now he told me when he was going to get, meet certain deadlines, and he always kept pushing it back to what I thought was, it was just ridiculous. So I had to talk with him and I let him go. With Nacho or Ignacio, my current artist, he will tell me exactly what's on his plate, what's coming up. And at the least, like if he's not finishing a page, he will show me like, hey, I've got the pencils done. Here's what I've done so far. And so that goes a really, really long way when you're, working with an artist, because you are, I don't know, in most, at least for me, I'm paying the artist. It's my own money, like I've worked for. And so in a sense, like I've hired him, obviously, but in another sense, we want to be a team too. So it's kind of a weird balance, but I will say that communication is super important.
No, I think it's spot on.
Yeah, Brian in the chat says it's like having a second girlfriend. It's all about open communication. Yeah, that analogy is really very close to reality. That's for sure. So we're just taking a look here again at Chaotic Flux. I want to remind everybody that it's on Indiegogo, and the art looks good. The story sounds cool. I should refresh the page. I always get paranoid, like I don't want to jinx it, so maybe I'll wait till a little bit later. But yeah, come on, I haven't refreshed it at all yet. You will, if you fund this. It's a flexible goal. You don't have to fund it all the way to get your book. If you buy your book, you will get the book. So
hey Scott, can you tell us about your tiers?
Okay. I don't. You mean it's the packages? Because I don't really have tiers.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean, like this. Package.
I got you. So $2 is just if you just want to donate some money, just to help it out, and a thank you, and then $5 gets you the digital, and then $10 will get you the physical copy. 15 is a signed copy, and then 20 is a metallic cover edition. I'm doing metallic covers for the book. I'm a big fan of those from the 90s. I think you see them now and then nowadays too, but mostly from the 90s. I remember those. So I decided to do metallic cover for this run. And then 25, you get a metallic cover signed. And then 25, I believe you get, I think it's both the, I want to click on it real quick.
The deluxe package.
Yeah.
PDF.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the original cover, 2 trading cards, and the art print. So I am doing trading cards, both non-metallic and metallic. There's going to be 2 types each. So there's 2 non-metallics and then 2 metallics, but they're of 2 different characters. One of one character, one another. And I'm doing them in the style of the kind of the 90s trading cards, like the Marvel cards, where you'll have their power stats in the back as well as little facts about them and their abilities. The art prints, I'm doing a metallic print and a non-metallic print, and those are going to be 2 different pieces of art. And something I was going to say, I can't remember now. But then there's also a T-shirt. You can see it there, and that one will come with the All Out Chaos package. Which in All Out Chaos, you get everything available in that one package. And then that squared there, that's if you want to order 2 All Out Chaos packages for a little bit cheaper.
Cool. Does your artist work digitally?
Yeah, he's pretty much all digital.
Very cool.
He does do some pencil, but he's primarily digital.
What is your artist's name?
Brian Belando.
Oh, Brian Belando.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Where does he?
He's from the Philippines.
From the Philippines, yeah.
Yeah. My colorist as well. His name is Brian McNahy. and they're both good friends in real life. And I actually found the colorist through the illustrator. Since they're good friends, he recommended them to me, and they worked together before. And I looked at their work and saw that they create some pretty awesome things together. So I was like, heck yeah, let's get these guys going.
Comics is a small world. It's crazy how many people know other people and can refer you.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is pretty awesome too.
Yeah,
I'm surprised all the time when I find a guy that knows another guy. I'm like, holy crap, you know him too? Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely.
The other thing that's interesting is I mean, each of us have independently found artists from different parts of the world. I mean, the three of us, I assume we're all American, but like my artist is from Indonesia, yours is from Philippines, Clint's, yours is from Spain, right?
Argentina.
Argentina. Well, that's even further away.
Yeah.
But and my old artist is from Brazil. So I mean, it's the internet, man. It makes things happen.
It's a good example of all the untapped potential that's out there.
Yeah. And there's a super, like, it adds variety to the art style you're going to get. Like my artist, Ignacio, is definitely, he's got a heavy influence from South American comic art styles, which I didn't really look into a lot before I started working with him. But there are a lot of similarities. It kind of, like, I used to think I knew, like, kind of like this Mike Mignola influence, like a hint of that, but it's different still. I haven't totally figured it out. I need to ask him what he would say his influences are.
Just from what I've seen of his page, I mean, it looks a lot of that European, Mobius kind of style, and real kind of subtle lines, and I think a lot of concentration on environmental.
Yeah,
that's just what I've seen just in looking through his gallery page.
Yeah, and that's high praise. I love Mobius. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah, he's a really good artist.
I just have his Silver Surfer thing he did with Stan Lee just sitting right here next to me. I love that thing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I got like a free comic book day one. I can't even remember what it was called. But I just looked through the art. I didn't even read it because I don't know why I didn't have time, but I was like, just wanted to keep flipping through it to just look at all the art. Yeah, he's a really good artist. It's cool to have that variety. Somebody in chat, I'm sorry, I kind of missed it. I could find you, but they were asking about this Icarus and the Sun one campaign. I just want to look at it briefly, just the numbers here. This guy's making a ton of money. He's from Sao Paulo, Brazil. And that's another area where comics are, like, there's a ton of comic artists from Brazil. And
Sao Paulo's where my original artist is from, Douglas. Yeah, he's from there. I asked him, "Do you know this guy?" He's like, "Let me look," and he's like, "No, I don't know him."
Huh. Yeah, it's crazy. And I was looking at even my artist, Ignacio. He was working with no, not working with. I think they were published under the same publisher down there, or they worked in the same studio. Anyway, it's a guy, if you're familiar with The Trespasser, that's published by Alterna Comics. I cannot think of the artist's name now, but they know each other pretty well. They went to art school together and stuff. It was like, oh wow, cool, small world. So yeah, it really is. I would say Indonesia, the Philippines, and Brazil. Those are the three places. There are certainly other places for sure, but those are three that there are just a ton of comic artists out there and looking for work too.
Speaking of Indonesia, that's where I think a couple of those guys that are working on the what is the Long Harbor or Longshore?
Yeah, we should look at that one too, huh?
That looks amazing, and they're from Indonesia as well.
Yeah, this book looks really, really good. I don't know. I've been meaning to try and Alejandro.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking at this one.
Out, but
this book deserves all the money that the Icarus one is getting. Icarus, it's just not for me. But...
No, me either. Yeah, he's got a huge following. I'll chalk it up to that. But this book, like just this one page, I think I can tell what the story is about just from looking at it. And like some of the other, I don't know, I have guesses here. This is a concept one.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's like
angling. The art style is amazing.
It looks like it was a fisheye wide angle lens.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Really good effect.
Cool. So cool. Yeah, it's like I'm guessing a siren, you know,
Hmm.
kisses the guy, and then it's gonna turn into a horror
Right.
story. So
Affects them.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
I've
is a
been
cool book.
I was DMing with one of those guys and just kind of asking him about it, and it's definitely a a dark horror kind of cosmic horror Lovecraft kind of influence. So yeah, Long Harbor, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's
Like the
cool.
mixing of styles there. You got the
Yeah,
extreme detail and then the kind of more traditional cartoony comic booky mix on the some of the characters.
Yeah, this is cool. And it's the monsters
Hmm.
see like fish already. And I've thought this before too.
Yeah.
Like, man, it'd be cool to make a book about undersea things, but they are
Hmm.
already they look like a horror show.
Hmm.
And so you're putting monsters like this together, it's really cool.
dude, you want some nightmares? Just go to Google Images and look up isopods.
Isopods.
Yeah, so the little what is it? What do they call them? The roly polies. Well, they're roly polies, except for they're like 18 inches long and they live on the bottom of the ocean.
Holy cow. Let's look at some images here.
Yeah,
Wow.
there they are. Look how big that thing is in his hand.
That's creepy.
So
Yeah,
it does this is a potato bug, a roly poly. What we call them potato bugs around here.
Hmm.
Yeah, roly poly, and then this is isopod. I'm assuming, geez, that's
yeah.
nuts. It's like
That's pure nightmare fuel.
yeah, my brother, he lived in the Marshall Islands for a little while, and let's see, coconut
Go
crabs,
crab. Oh, I've
Oh
encountered
yeah,
those.
they're freaky.
just like the claw, and he's like, oh no,
Yeah.
they'll take. Look at that on a trash can. Look at that thing.
Yeah, the
Like some
first time
Resident Evil stuff.
the first time I saw that image, I thought it was Photoshop, but then I saw one in real life, and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, my brother was saying they will take your hand off. He knew a couple people that were missing fingers
Ugh.
because of one of these guys. Crazy.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just a that actually looks like a face hugger right there.
Yeah, it does.
So this actually kind of I think springboards good into a different kind of writer topic. And so how heavy are you? Do you research like uh, imagery for your artists? As far as hey, I want things to look like this, or here's some things that I'm thinking about, or
Yeah,
reference type. For me, it's all, for door kickers, it's about, hey, here's the guns I want. Here's the kind of gear they have to wear.
Mhm.
When it comes to this stuff, you can make it up whatever you want, but this stuff needs to be pretty accurate because guys who wear this shit want to
yeah,
be able to see that and realize that these guys know what they're talking about.
yeah, yeah. For me, it depends on the story. I did I did an 8-page submission for Image the first time, and I had an artist, and I spelled everything out to a T. Like I had even just photographs. Like I want this character to look like this person, but with this hairdo. Like that kind of level, which
Right.
was stupid. Like it was way too much control. It was a good learning experience for this one that I'm doing, where a lot of it is a science fiction fantasy element to it. I'm like, it needs to be a city that is floating 32,000 feet in the air. So what makes sense to you to make that work? Make a nice dense city. He pulled up, man, I should find it, but he pulled up some images of an artist, Latin American artist, who did stuff like that, like just concept art for flying cars and things like that. And he's like, kind of like this. And so he wanted to use that kind of influence. And so I was like, go for it. Totally different than what I was thinking, but he did use some of those influences. And yeah, it's really cool to just have an artist be able to just go do your thing. So yeah, I don't know. Scott Payne, did you mention how much study? I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I do. I do some study on like weaponry and technology and whatnot, since mine has a lot of elaborate tech in it. And I've done quite a bit of research on like genetic manipulation stuff, since my creatures are kind of spliced together life forms and mutations and what have you. But I also allow myself a lot of kind of, I guess, stretching room, since I tend to like just uh, doing a lot of fantasy elements, a lot of science fiction, that, stuff that you kind of have to, ground it in reality, but
Sure.
know where you don't want to ground it too much at the same time. So I kind of try to find a middle ground, um, try to make it as real as I can, but also allow myself to go that broader
Yeah.
route. And
Yeah.
so I do research, but also just I'm good at putting together things pretty well, and making it make sense at the same time, I
Yeah.
guess.
And here, like, I'm sorry, the coconut crab is eating like a seagull or something. It's like, oh man, it's clipping some wings. I just had to
Right.
show that off.
That's crazy.
Adam AF in the chat says, I thought you should know that you currently have more viewers than Mike S. Miller. That makes me happy. He's been don't tell Mike, no, go ahead and tell Mike this if you want, but he's been my next target. Like, I guess I'm kind of competitive when it
Just
comes to
knock them
this.
down.
Yeah, I've been like focusing, like, what's the next tier of YouTube channel, the next cluster of them that I want to be able to beat in either just views or subscriber count. And so I've been kind of climbing the ladder that way. And so yeah, Blacklist Universe is next on my list, actually.
Dude, if you weren't competitive, you wouldn't be Comicsgate.
Right. That's kind of the point, huh? Brian says, are you or EVS doing motion comic trailers for your books? Now, motion comic trailers, do you mean like animating, like actual doing animation, or you mean just like here's a comic page and it's kind of moving across the screen? I don't know. I'm not sure what the specifics are. I will say that my video, I'm not going to put, I mean the art, the way that I look at it, I want the art to be able to stand on its own and that to be what's selling it. So I'm going to put focus on the art, but I'm going to do a video just so I can, mention it and
It's
show
a
the
good
art.
idea though. Yeah, it's a good idea. But
Are you doing your own
trailer, and it turned out pretty good. But yeah, it's a good idea to do a trailer, I think. And I hear a lot with crowdfunding things. They say that a video is like one of your number one things you should do. But I mean, I don't know how true that is or whatever. But I went ahead and made one anyway, and
Yeah,
it worked out pretty well.
it's hard to know. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of advice out there.
But yeah.
I don't know.
That's the thing though too. It may have worked for someone else, but you're not sure if it's going to work for you. So it's all trial and error.
So
I got a feeling that the Icarus campaign, that guy could have just put a screenshot on his, and then 3 years he would have got.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
when you got 2 million Instagram followers, I don't know how much how the video is.
I was gonna say, I imagine someone like Ethan could just like put a picture of Cyberfrog, and then he's got like $100,000 funded already.
That's almost what he did, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he did make a video, but it was like there was one picture, I think, something like that. But yeah, if you've got followers that are interested and they've been following the book,
it's all about building that audience.
That's the most important thing.
Which is a really good thing that you have your YouTube channel. You've built up a lot of people through it, so you got a pretty good audience to launch your book off of.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can help people with, because I've been so transparent from the beginning. So yeah, like I'll tell you, my mailing list I've put together has been okay. So the response rate, the open rate for my mailing list is 47%. That's amazing.
Actually pretty good.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's like 16% for marketing. If it was publishing, that's the average, would be 16%. For marketing, excuse me. For publishing, it's like 26%. So the fact that it's 47%. Yeah, that's a really good open rate. So
it seems like I get. Well, you sent an email out in the past week, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yep. That was my first one to try it out, but.
About how big is your mailing list?
So right now it's smaller than I wanted it to be, but it's like 320 is all. But those 320 are pretty targeted just based off that open rate. And because, there are people that have been first watching my videos, been interested enough in the book to go look at it. So I wanted to get 1,000, but man, it's hard. I imagine there are a lot of people that watch the video, watch my YouTube videos though, that just don't sign up for a mailing list.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does seem like a lot of people are just, I don't know, I'm not sure what it is, but a lot of people are kind of, I don't know if it's afraid or maybe they think they're going to get spammed. I wonder that
Yeah.
sometimes. They're just afraid of the junk mail they're going to get if they join your mailing list, but I'm not really
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, it's hard. And I've only sent out one email because I really,
Right.
I don't want to abuse that power of having someone's email address, but it's, I don't know. It's a tough balance because at the same time, if you never send emails to it, then that's not good either. So Adam AF says, Sweet Cast gunning for Blacklist. That is right. I am. And then Vasen Kasi, I'm sorry, I probably said that wrong. Sweet Cast. So how well do you draw with your feet? Ooh. Probably worse than I draw with my hands.
I think that fad is over, though.
What's that?
I said I think the feet drawing fad is over.
Yeah, it would.
Was that a thing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm glad. I don't know if I'm glad I missed that or disappointed I missed that.
Would Ethan sold a foot drawing of Darth Vader for was it $300? Yeah,
It's
awesome. Wow.
Yeah, and so everyone. John Malin did one. I don't remember how much it sold for, and
Really?
then Mike Miller did
That's
one, and
amazing.
his was legit. Like it was good.
Yeah, his was really good. The Boba Fett one, the Boba Fett.
Yeah. Brian says, got a really strong reaction at the cons, not so much online. Sorry, I'm a little behind. I'm not sure what that one's talking about, who he's referring to. I was actually, let's see, I actually just had to scroll down so I can't see Sweetcast screen. Those coconut crabs are freaking me out. Yeah, sorry. We stayed on this one that looks like it's in like an attack position. If I saw this on some dusty, like a hike, I would be out of there so fast.
Yeah, so the funny thing is if my wife were to encounter this, she'd probably go up to it, pick it up, look at it, and say, it's not big enough to eat or something like that.
No way.
Well, my wife's Korean, so different kind of, they very seafood oriented.
Yeah, that is interesting because fear, it definitely is related to culture. That's an interesting concept for sure. Like I wonder if the same kind of horror films, there's probably data out there for this. I'm just riffing, but data for horror films that work well in the US versus, I don't know, China or wherever else, I don't know, it might be different.
So I can say, I wouldn't call myself a connoisseur of Korean culture, but trust me, I get a ton of it. And their horror movies are definitely different than ours.
Yeah.
It's
you look at a lot of those have been remade now over here because they are so crazy and out there.
And it shares a lot in common with Japanese, but even Japanese are different. Chinese, Japanese, Korean, all different. Never confuse the two because then you'll get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I just realized we are toward the end of our stream. That was really fun though, guys. I really appreciate both of you coming on. That was fun.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.
Should I refresh this live?
Scott's book.
Yeah, I'm like Scott's book. I've got looking at it right here again. Chaotic Flux. This is again when I saw this book just out. Let's see. I think it was IndieCron. I looked at it on IndieCron. And I'm like, wow, how did I miss this? The art looks really good. The story sounds really, really interesting. And so if you want to check this out, it's in the link in the description below the video. The question is, should I refresh it? I guess should I do it? Or should we just let it go?
We'll find out how powerful you are.
Okay, let's do it. Let's find out if any of that blacklist beating power is doing it. We're at 1804, 1814. There you go. There's another backer. Right. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate that. Don't forget to smash like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And both of these Scots are great writers. And I'm excited to see what comes next. So thanks everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, take care.